Welcome back to the Bleacher Preacher podcast. We have the Good Brothers in action today. It's Jonathan with Rob.
What up?
And Rob, the month of April brings us a lot of fantastic sports events. We're going to kick it off with the NBA playoffs. A lot of the first round series are starting to draw towards the end. Some lopsided, some looking pretty competitive. Tonight alone, we had the Celtics take a 3-0 series lead on the Indiana Pacers. We had the OKC Thunder finally win a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. The Raptors, who seem to have some problems with the Orlando Magic, now own a 2-1 series lead, plus many, many others. So, Rob, outside of some of these other series, what has stood out to you so far in the NBA playoffs?
San Antonio, man. They were not the betting favorite. They were like this old team. I don't want to say washed up, but you kind of like thought about it. It's like, oh yeah, Denver's gonna roll. Denver's gonna go through these guys, and then you just take a look at like stylistically, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, just a lot of mid-range shots while everybody's moving to a trigger-happy three-point league, and these guys just are coming out here, have taken advantage, taking the lead, and Coach Pop is just out there, still being Coach Pop, best run organization in basketball, best coaching staff in basketball. Like, there's just so much praise that they should get and they rightfully deserve, and they've had over the years, and they just keep on cooking.
They draw the fair comparison of being called the Patriots of the NBA because they always seem to be around in the postseason, and essentially find these nobodies and turn them into studs. Like, who had heard of Derek White before the other night, and he puts up 25 plus. And me and you had really liked the Nuggets in this series because we thought they were ready to take the leap, being the 2 seed in the West, and they're getting there. They're getting a lot of trouble right now, and I believe San Antonio is up 2-1, right?
Yep.
2-1. Wow, who would have thought that? We also had the Clippers irritate the Warriors to start trying. We think that one's going to wrap up fairly quickly in 5, so I don't know how much more we want to say outside of Patrick Beverley really loves irritating Kevin Durant.
Patrick Beverley kind of messed that up. He irritated Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant exploded for 38, like an easy 38. So the Warriors have been up 30 in 2 separate games. One they lost, sure. One, happened to go where you thought it was going to go. They were just going to, cruise. They're kind of outmatched, man. To be down 30 in 2 separate games, that's not a good sign.
Kind of reminds me of when the Celtics were playing the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think the first 3 games were all decided by 25 plus. I think we're going to see some blowouts here down the stretch. Also, kind of looking back to the East, Philly-Brooklyn's been a pretty entertaining match. We had Jared Dudley, of all people, speak out calling Ben Simmons average. Ben Simmons responds with 30 plus and an absolute monster performance, where Jared Dudley responds with 1 rebound, no points, no assists, and a embarrassing air ball. So, with a banged-up Joel Embiid, do we think Philadelphia wraps this thing up fairly soon?
They need to. Well, I mean, if they don't, at least they can prolong and give Joel Embiid some rest. I still think they're like the more talented team without Joel Embiid, but they're not going to go forward if Joel Embiid is going to be banged up. And if Joel Embiid is going to remain and be banged up for the rest of the playoffs and whatnot, which I think he is, because we think it's tendonitis. Like, everybody thinks it's tendonitis there. It's a bad sign for them. It's a really bad sign for them.
It's a bad sign more so because you're not going to really get a lot of rest in the playoffs. Mind you, you're playing pretty much every other night. There's no room or timetable to really get extended rest, and these are going to be playoff games that require heavy minutes that are going to come at a grind, and you don't really recover or rejuvenate with this kind of schedule right now. So I'm a little concerned for Joel Embiid, and that injury past is starting to catch back up with him, sadly.
Yeah, this is not the time to recover. This that's what the last 10 games of the season for. I know you're still fighting for positioning and whatnot, and you try to rest your stars as much as you can, but this is it. This is go time, man. Like if you miss one game, it could be potentially the last game of the series. You're man, it just sucks for them to have this injury right now. Right now, of all time, like if this happened at the beginning of the season, and you could rest them for 10, 15 games and make sure everything's right. But now it's the playoffs. You can't take 10 to 15 games off.
And I know it's not exactly the, best plan B to have, but they did have Boban come in at the trade deadline along with Tobias Harris. And then they still have the artist formerly known as Greg Monroe. Like, they're not exactly top-notch replacements, so the onus is going to fall on Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, JJ Redick, Tobias Harris. You're going to need 15, 20 points at minimum from 3-4 of those guys just to stay in some of these games, especially if you're going to move on to the next round to a very tough Milwaukee team.
Yeah, and Boban's not going to be able to play against Milwaukee. Brook Lopez is going to stay at the 3, and Boban. It's either Boban goes out there, to try to defend Brook Lopez launching threes, which is I wouldn't say that would be a wise decision. So like Boban is not going to be able to stay on the floor, and either Brook Lopez is getting open threes or he's going to try to go out and Giannis has an open path to the basket. It's not going to get any easier.
Let's stay in the East. I had mentioned at the top with the Raptors Magic series being a little bit more competitive than we thought. The Magic did fall at home in Game 3 tonight, so the Raptors are back in control of the series. But what has impressed you the most so far out of the Raptors responding from a very underwhelming Game 1?
Pascal Siakam is a star, man. Future All-Star, future
Most improved player.
most improved. Pascal Siakam, he is balling. Also, DJ Augustine. I never thought DJ Augustine was gonna do like stuff like this in the playoffs, like hit a dagger 3 in the Game 1. That's hilarious to me, but yeah.
Someone had put out a tweet saying DJ Augustine looks like your late 30s rec league basketball player. He's got the extra baggy shorts, the unnecessary arm sleeve, but he's getting crunch time in the playoffs, so credit to DJ. I think with Siakam, though, this is starting to make Toronto feel maybe a little bit better about the possibility of Kawhi not coming back. Maybe a little.
Yeah, a little bit, but like the team is so much better with Kawhi on it. Of course, I mean that's easy to say because Kawhi is a top 15 player in the league, but this team is still only going to go as far as Kawhi is going to take them, even with how much Siakam's has improved. This is like Siakam's improved and Siakam's doing his thing, but then you have like Kyle Lowry, struggling in the playoffs. I feel like it's a broken record. You say this every playoffs. Kyle Lowry struggling every playoffs. It seems to be that. And this team is either. I really feel like this team is going to head towards major change. I think Gasol's leaving after this season to go play wherever he wants to play. He's going to opt out. But I mean, there's a lot of money left on the table for Gasol, but maybe he doesn't really care about the money. He's made a lot of money. He's a max guy in Memphis. Kawhi is going to be leaving. And then like maybe do you entertain offers for Kyle Lowry and just try to rebuild with the young guys? Do you entertain offers for Ibaka and like Toronto, man, this might be it. Like the championship window might be this season, which is crazy to think.
I mean, you already have a hobbled Philly team. Boston's up and down. Who knows what Milwaukee's going to look like in a potential finals clinching situation? If it doesn't happen now, I don't think it does again for a while. Speaking of struggling, Russell Westbrook cannot find the bottom of the net. Games 1 and 2 saw abysmal shooting performances from Westbrook and the rest of the Thunder, but they did turn it around tonight with a Game 3 win at home. So I know the Blazers have looked good up to this point, but I don't expect the Thunder to keep struggling shooting the ball for the entire series. And I don't think it's got to do with lockdown defense. I think they're just not making shots.
Yes, but also, so Steven Adams doesn't look 100%. Paul George doesn't look 100%. Russell Westbrook is trying to do more than, Russell Westbrook. It's just like he's just such an enigma as a player. Like he's not the guy you want shooting 40 times because of his shooting numbers. But at the same time, like when all the cards are on the table and you kind of need somebody to go out there and get you points, like Russ might take 40 shots, but he also might get 45 and win you the game. So it right now they really need Russ to play at his highest level because of like how banged up the rest of the team is. Like I thought Adams was gonna kill them. Like we thought Canner was not going to be able to play. Canner's been a force for Portland. Like I really didn't think Canner was going to stay on the floor. I thought they were going to kill him in pick and roll. And Canner's kind of held. Canner's not even like held his own. Canner's just played okay. He's like if Adams was 100% healthy, or if it was like a better center or a better pick and roll team, like Canner would be getting feasted on. It's not like Canner got better or is playing better. He's still playing the same. It's just OKC hasn't taken advantage.
And I think that's what's probably going to be the biggest thing weighing on OKC's mind if they do not advance past the Blazers. Still an entertaining series. Game 4 is going to be a pretty feisty affair because Dame and Russ are now going back and forth and going at each other. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch. Celtics up 3-0 on Indiana, and kind of like how we thought, Indiana just doesn't have enough to hang with the Celtics right now. And the Oladipo injury, it sucks, plain and simple, because they were going to be a tough team to play in the playoffs, but right now the Pacers just don't have enough punch to really hang in these games.
They played well this season, but losing your superstar, losing your number one option, that's sometimes that's the hand you're dealt. Sometimes injuries are a part of the game. Injuries happen. Philadelphia is dealing with Joel Embiid's injury. It's just they have a little bit more talent. Indiana now playing Boston. Boston has the supreme talent. I think Boston got a little lucky. I think Boston got, the first game, it was like 80-70, something like the score was, like something atrocious. Like I think Boston got really lucky with that first round matchup and not really being pushed since Indiana kind of lost their guys.
Maybe it's the series they need to get their act together. Who knows? Because right now they're on track to meet Milwaukee in the second round. We're not even going to really touch on the Milwaukee Pistons series because that's just a lopsided affair in its own. But
if there was one series that I predicted perfectly to go the way I thought it was going to go, it was Milwaukee versus Detroit.
There's a lot of list there, so we hit that one at least. So first round, like I said, it's got its hits, it's got its misses, but the second round is shaping up to be a pretty good one if some matchups do fall in place. Changing gears, the Major League Baseball season in full swing. Not fun so far, and that's from personal experience. Not having fun watching the Red Sox, who I thought would regress. I thought they'd be a little bit worse than last year, not outright garbage. And I say that as nice as I can, because how do you bring back the same team that won 108 games last year and you haven't even won 8 games yet?
It's been a tough time for Boston, huh? Now, coming into the season, we thought the concern was going to be the bullpen, not having Kimbrough, losing Joe Kelly, having to move guys up, not 1 inning, but 2 to 3 innings in spots that they didn't really pitch in the year before. You thought the bullpen was going to be the issue. The bullpen is not the issue. Chris Sale has looked horrible. Porcello's had an 11 ERA.
All five struggled. They're giving up way too many home runs. They can't hold a lead. Mookie Betts he's been non-existent thus far. JD Martinez has, he's shown signs of life. He's coming to play every day, but Jackie Bradley's come back down to earth.
Jackie Bradley never left Earth. Let's be real.
Outside of the ALCS, where he did have some big hits, but he's gone back to his means, and now without the other guys around him hitting, it's going to stand out a little bit more. Rafi Devers has looked rough at times. Same with Sander Bogarts. The only shining brim of optimism I can have with this that it's still April. There's plenty of time to get the act together. But this has been a very frustrating start to the baseball season for the Red Sox.
Not only that, the division they're in. So Tampa has Blake Snell, Charlie Morton, and Tyler Glasnow, who all three are in the top 10 in ERA in the AL. And then Toronto has Stroman, Sanchez, and Shoemaker, and all three are in the top 15 in ERA in the AL. And then Domingo Germán is in the top 10 ERA in the AL. And that's everybody, that's what, like 8 dudes in the top 15 of ERA in your division that you have to play against. So, yes, it's early and it's April, but you have to play tough pitchers. And I know it's small sample size or whatever, but Blake Snell, Stroman, Glasnow, Charlie Morton, these are guys with really, really good stuff. Sanchez battled blisters his whole career. So if he doesn't have the blister problem, maybe his career looks so much better than it has so far. It doesn't get easier from here.
I will say they did get that weird West Coast trip out of the way early in the season where they, like most of the season struggled mightily, but splitting a series with Toronto, splitting a series with Baltimore, it is a tough look, but there's still a lot of time to correct this. But now you're going to be playing catch up for the next month and a half to 2 months. And mind you, where they're standing right now, you're going to have to play at almost a 700 win, or not 700 win, but a 700 win percentage pace just to kind of get back into that 90-ish win range, which isn't out of the question. It's just going to be very, very hard.
90 wins might not even get you to the playoffs.
No, and that's the sad part. You have 2 teams in your division that are also jockeying for it, and kind of transitioning to that point. If there's a blessing for the Red Sox right now, it's that the Yankees are just as in a weird spot as you, but the Yankees have everybody hurt right now.
Yeah, it's not like Boston has everybody hurt and that's why they're struggling.
That's the thing. Everybody's there.
Nobody's healthy. Pedroia's back.
He's back on the IL.
Well, okay, so that was
easy go. This might be it for Pedroia, because if he can't get it back now, I'm sorry, it's just not happening. He's their Ellsbury. Not a title to want by that means.
I mean, he just came back. He went back on the deal. He just came back.
Yep. Turn around. You know the gif of Grandpa Simpson when he walks in the room, takes his hat off, turns right around, puts it on, walks right out?
That's Pedroia? Oh, my.
So, also looking at the rest of the American League, someone taught the Mariners how to hit home runs. A lot of them. They've hit a home run in every game this season up until, today, Friday, April 19th.
That's crazy. Jay Bruce going deep.
Tim Beckham,
Ryan Healy. These aren't power guys that you think of. Mitch Haniger. These aren't guys that you think we're gonna Jay Bruce has a lot of home. Jay Bruce is what, at 8 home runs already or something like that. That's crazy. These guys are raking. Dan Vogelbach. Edwin Encarnacion, you'd be like, yeah, Edwin Encarnacion. He's hit 40 home runs before in the season. He's 8th for total home runs on this team. Edwin Encarnacion has 5. Ryan Healy has 5. Mitch Haniger has 5. Daniel Vogelbach has 6. Jay Bruce has 8. That makes no sense. Everybody is hitting home runs. Guys that don't even hit home runs are hitting home runs. Malik Smith, D. Gordon, they've all gone deep.
And what blows my mind, most of this is being done at T-Mobile, but I refuse to call it T-Mobile. I'm going back to Safeco. I'm still calling it Safeco.
The Kingdom.
Here's Park.
The Kingdom. They're going deep. This is ridiculous.
It's a hard pace to keep up, relying on the power game like this, but Mariners jumped out to a fast start in the AL West, so let's see how that hangs up for them. Francisco Lindor, I believe, is still working his way back to the Indians. Or has
Yeah, but that division is kind of a joke.
the Tigers are in first place.
No, the Cleveland's in first place.
They are? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Detroit had a good start to the year.
Detroit's 500. I mean, you can't ask for more.
It's wild to think how many bad teams are in there, but everyone's just kind of beating up on each other. Like even the White Sox are showing signs of competency right now.
Moncada has looked awesome this year, and Eloy Jimenez has looked really good this year.
We said with Moncada, had he learned to like kind of rein it in a little bit and control his pitch selection and what to swing at, he would look a lot better. Oh, he's mashing.
Yeah, dude, the on base percentage is up where you wanted to see at like 350. If he holds a 350 on base, slugs 590 like he's doing right now, he's mashing. He's still striking out a ton, but he's making a lot of contact. Eloy Jimenez has hit a couple bombs like 500 foot. Okay, maybe they didn't go 500 feet, but like bombs. The man went deep. Like he has a ton of power in there. He's gonna mash like Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, Tim Anderson, dude. Tim Anderson and his bat flips, hilarious.
And then apparently getting suspended over a comment made after the fact, which is
yeah, I don't know. That look,
all gets in its own way. It's hilarious.
I think that if you pimp a home run, I think you should pimp a home run if you're feeling it, like, but not like just every home run. Like it's got to be like it's the seventh inning. It's the seventh inning. We're down 2. There's 3 men on. I hit a 3-run home run. I feel like that's a home run that you should pimp. Like a solo shot in the bottom of the third is not a home run you pimp. Like who cares? And then with retaliation wise, like as long as you don't throw at people's heads, if it's below the waist, but okay, maybe not like a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, maybe like you still don't want to get hit by a 70-mile-per-hour changeup, but like a 70-mile-per-hour changeup in the leg compared to a two-seamer coming at your back at 95, a little bit of a difference there.
The way I see it, if you piss on it, do whatever you feel like. Like, even if it is the bottom of the 4th, but you send one, what's the street behind Wrigley?
Addison or Waveland.
If you send it into those buildings, by all means, watch it fly. That's just my view on it. Speaking of the Cubbies, what's it looking like over in Wrigleyville?
It's looking so much better this week than last week. Oh man, I'll tell you what, they're back to 500. They're 9-9. Cole Hamels, he went 7-8. The last 3 Cubs starts, Quintana went 7, 0 earned runs. Hamels went 7, 0 earned runs. Hendricks went 7, 0 earned runs. And this is after Hamels went 8.1 last week with like 1 earned run. Quintana went 7 with 0 earned runs. Quintana's working on a 14-inning scoreless streak. The Cubs as a whole just ended like a 30 something, I think 40 something inning scoreless streak. They blanked the Marlins 2 games in a row. They played Arizona, gave up a run in the 9th. So that's what 9 plus 8. And then at least 30 innings with the back half of the first Marlins game. Like it looks so much better. Javi had a great series against Marlins. He's batting like 330 right now. He's still doing Javi stuff. He went first to third on a wild pitch today against Arizona, which who goes first to third on a wild pitch? It's just magic, Hayward has looked really good this season. He's hitting the ball with authority. That's all you can ask for. And then Contreras has looked really good this season too. He's already at 6 home runs, and I think he hit like 10, 12. He hit 12 all last year. So it's like he's already there. It's April. Like hopefully Contreras hits 30 this year, which would be triple his total last year, and that's what we need. Bryant and Rizzo and Schwarber have been struggling, But Bryant and Rizzo, I feel like, are going to get back on track. Like today, Bryant went 2 for 4, scored 2 runs, and Rizzo had a 2 RBI triple. So I mean, I feel like they're going to get back on track. So if Hayward keeps hitting the way he does, Contreras, Baez still doing what they do, and then you add, a hot Chris Bryant and a hot Anthony Rizzo, like things are looking so much better this week than it did the past couple of weeks.
It's definitely trending. I know Joel Madden had his frustrations with the Cubs bullpen. I mean, I think you showed me some video clips where he's mouthing like, some unpleasantries about the guys in the back end, but good to see it is stabilizing. It is worth mentioning Christian Yelich is still on fire. Jesus Christ.
Josh Hader got taken deep today by Kike Hernandez, 3-run shot.
I was going to say it is worth mentioning out of the Brewer, a lot of Brewers players did come back to earth outside of Yelich, so he's making an early case to keep his NL MVP.
The Cubs played the Brewers already, and it was Kane and Yelich. Kane and Yelich, if they've been on fire since they signed with the Brewers, everybody else is kind of meh. Braun has had times where he's come up with hits. Aguilar, Dames, times where they came up with hits. Grandal, but the rest of the lineup doesn't scare. And Kane and Yelich are the ones that make this thing go. If you stop Kane and Yelich, the rest of the team is average.
And we even said their starting pitcher doesn't exactly intimidate you. So
one of them just lost his spot. Corbin Burns just got optioned because he's been getting lit up. And then Josh Hader, he looked human today because he had to get out of a bases loaded jam in the 7th inning and then gave up a 3-run shot in the 8th. And Crownsel's going to pitch him 3 innings a day? Like, you can't really, other than like Hader and Junior Guerra, the rest of the bullpen is looking average. Now I know Jeffers is coming back and Jeffers is a good pitcher, but like they need more.
And I know it's still early, but looking at the NL East, well, this is going to be a fun division to watch. Everyone's shown pretty good signs here of a competitive team, including those New York Mets. But being the Mets, it comes back full circle. DeGrom is having elbow discomfort and is now getting an MRI. Could we be seeing the Mets already get derailed before May even starts?
I hope not, because it's fun watching DeGrom pitch.
And after what he did last year, just being absolutely lights out from beginning to end, it'd be really, really disheartening watching him break down.
Everybody in the NL East, like, we thought the NL East had the best pitching, but like Nola has an 8 ERA, Strasburg has like a 5 ERA, Scherzer's at like 3.3, and he's taken like a ton of losses. Syndergaard's at a 5 ERA. Like even DeGrom last year had like a 0 point nothing ERA. Now he to this year he's at what, like 3.5, 3.3, something like that. His ERA, like, they've been getting hit.
I know I want to. What's a good way to say this?
Small sample size, yada yada yada.
And I don't want to harp on that, but if someone's getting hit that hard, that's in, like, everyone's keying in on your pitches. Like, oh, I'm expecting this pitch to come in at this level, at this velocity. Let me hammer it.
So, like, guys like Kluber, I'm worried about because his walks are like triple what he normally would be. Nola, I'm worried about because it's the same thing. His walks are up. Like, that's one of the indicators that, like, I look for. Is like, okay, you have a high ERA, but why do you have a high ERA? It's like, do you have more? Like, Kyle Hendricks had 14 runs, but only like 8 of them were earned. So, that's why Kyle Hendricks had struggles. And I know earned runs aren't part of ERA. It's called earned run average, sure, but like that's why Kyle Hendricks was 0-3 before today, is he's had a couple bad lucks. But then when you look at like Nola, and Nola's like last year he was at like a 2 walks per 9, and this year it's at like a 4.5 or a 5 or something like that. It's like that is not good. It's like he doesn't have any command right now, and that is not good at all.
Not a good look to start the year. Not good. Not good. It's actually funny because a lot of aces they've been getting touched up a lot. I know we mentioned Sale when we were talking about the Red Sox, but it's kind of like a disease right now. A lot of these top end pitchers they're getting tagged hard.
Yeah, Kluber has a 5 base on balls per 9, and he's got a 6 ERA. Like that's not Kluber. Like when you think of Corey Kluber, you think like accurate pinpoint command, and he's walking a ton of people this year, and he's getting lit up. Like that's not what you thought was going to happen with Corey Kluber. Like the aces are kind of getting hit hard this year, and then like the people that aren't aces are the people that are out here like killing dudes, like Glass now, and Stroman, Sanchez. Guys like Blake Snell, I guess, won the Cy Young last year, but like these are the guys that coming out and like killing it right now.
Well, let's go out to the NL West. We love the Padres to start the season. They've had some good stretches here and there. Right now, the record doesn't necessarily reflect an elite team, but man, oh man, Fernando Tatis Jr. is a fun watch.
He's great. Like we knew, like the same hype that Ronald Acuna had last year, Tatis deserved all of the same hype, and he's justified it. He's hitting 294. He's got 5 home runs. He's playing a really, really solid, shortstop there. He's right next to Manny Machado too. So like, that team they're 11-9. Like you can't ask for a better start.
What their problem is, though, is they share a division with the Dodgers, who again they're mashing the baseball right now. Cody Bellinger is. What's above being on fire? Like, what would be the next level?
That it would be Christian Yelich.
He's like the tier underneath Christian Yelich because Belly is just bombing the ball away. And I'm sorry for butchering some kind of acronym or analogy right there, but he has been absolutely mashing baseballs. And we thought the Dodgers would slip in their power numbers. Not yet.
Belly is on fire. He's some holes in his swing that I thought were there and were present, like especially the high fastball. He's handled a lot better. He's driven a lot of balls deep. Like him, Yelich, and Anthony Rendon have been absolutely mashing in the NL. Like those are the guys that you do not want to see when the lineup turns back over, and it's one of those guys like you're inverted. Like you just feel like they're gonna, like Bellinger. Every time Bellinger comes to the plate, you feel like, man, he's about to take this deep.
Well, this baseball's about to get tattooed. We've also seen Bryce Harper tattoo a few baseballs this season. Those are never out of style.
He's been quiet for the past couple of weeks.
Well, yeah. I know he had that great first 7-8 days, and then he embarrasses the Nationals franchise. But he's kind of calmed down a little bit. But what can you expect? Just another note that I want to make about the baseball season so far. A lot of these guys are re-signing for really team-friendly deals.
Oh yeah, Albies got like a hell. The Braves signed Albies and Acuna for like less than 150 million, for less than half than Machado. That's crazy.
And I think we just saw Chris Davis of the Oakland A's sign a very friendly deal as well, albeit short term, but I've really liked how the A's have not only started piece together their talent, now they're starting to make a conceited effort to keep it all together.
Yeah, so if you're like a fan of a team that has a couple of young players that are eligible for extensions coming up soon, like you're kind of happy. This is like when you see Machado and Harper get 300 million, but then you see like Acuna and Albies get what they get, and you're like, oh, like as a Cubs fan, you're like, well, at the beginning of the season, you see Arenado get 285 or whatever the number is. It's like, well, KB is about to get 275 at least. And then you see a couple of the other numbers, and it's like, well, maybe we can get KB for like 250, 225, or like Baez is like, man, we're gonna have to pay Baez 150 million. So maybe we can get Baez for like 120 million now. 6 years, 120 million. That's a steal for Javi Baez. You know, like you want to see these guys get paid, but at the same time, if they don't get paid as much as you expect them to get paid, and they take team friendly deals, at least you get to see your favorite players still remain on your favorite team.
And, when you're watching these guys come up through your system, they get to these all-star caliber levels, there's got to be nothing more frustrating than like, oh, they walked because of money reasons, or, the team didn't get in front of it in time. Kind of what I'm going through with Mookie Betts right now, but that's a whole nother crisis for later. Like right now, I want the team to play better.
Yeah, well, Mookie Betts right now, he's hitting 200, so he's only getting 200 million.
Slowly, the price tag's coming back down, maybe.
if last year he hit what, like 340? Okay, yeah, Mookie, you're a $340 million player. This year you're hitting 200. Here's 200 million, Mookie.
Mind you, we say this only, but the way these top tier elite level baseball contracts are handled nowadays, there's never any inclination of or idea knowing who is going to land in for how much, i.e. Machado and the Padres. Any other thoughts on the baseball season thus far?
Not too much. I think we covered everything.
Still looking forward to Wrigley in September. First time experience. Today I learned what a Wrigley double is. And boy, oh boy, it's a fun watch.
Yeah.
And all go in different directions, none of which were towards where the baseball actually landed.
KB hit a pop-up to short. No, KB hit a pop-up to second, and it ended up in the right field stands. Not right field stands, like the stands to the right of first base, like behind the dugout. Like he hit a pop-up to second, and it traveled like 100 feet to the right. Like that was, and then he hit a double like that too. I saw Kettle Marte did like 4 spins and was like 20 feet away from the ball when the ball landed.
Somehow, not only was he 20 feet, he was still facing the wrong direction when the ball impacted.
Yeah, that was fun today. That is a Wrigley Field double at its finest. And there's even more Wrigley Field doubles, when the ball just disappears in the ivy and doesn't come back out. Like the ivy's getting there's a little bit of green in the ivy. I'm ready. Probably like 3 to 4 more weeks, that ivy is going to be fully green, and it's going to look amazing.
Can't wait to see it in person, man. It's going to be a major sports bucket list of mine, and can already taste those Chicago dogs.
Well, we're going to have either September 15th and Cubs Pirates, or September 20-something, which would be Cubs Cardinals, the last like 2 weeks of the season. So it could be potential, division changing series, Cubs Cardinals, which would be an awesome game to go to.
Woo. Be the big time afternoon games late in September. Sign me up. That pretty much wraps up the sports we would cover. Just to kind of give everyone a lowdown on the hockey playoffs. The 2 1 seeds for the Eastern and Western conferences have been eliminated, so it is literally open season. The Vegas Golden Knights are the betting favorites to win the Stanley Cup. The Toronto Maple Leafs are 1 game away from moving on in their first playoff series since 2004, I believe, but I could be wrong on that year. But it's been a while for Toronto. Just a whole lot of shenanigans on the ice, but if you guys have not watched hockey playoffs before, I recommend you give it a try. It's something else. I will say that much at least. Game of Thrones has started. Rob, your thoughts on the season so far?
A lot of people disliked the first episode because of how unaction-packed it was. But if you just take a time to digest what happened in episode 1, a lot of stuff went down. Like, so, okay, we're gonna step into the spoiler room now for Game of Thrones. So if you have not seen the first episode or you not caught up, thank you for listening, but pause the podcast right now or skip ahead. But for Game of Thrones, man, the first episode, like Sam telling John his lineage, John and Danny going on a date, John riding the dragon, Cersei and Euron, like Jamie getting to the north, seeing Bran for the first time. The first episode of the final season ended with Bran and Jamie face to face, which is a mirror onto the first episode of the first season when Jamie pushed Bran, and that was the final scene. Like, you know, Arya reunited with Jon for the first time in years. Jon reunited with Bronn first time in years. Like, this episode's crazy, you know, like crazy, man. Like,
You had Bran, and mind you, this is my first inclination into Game of Thrones. You just have Bran staring creepily at everybody, and I thought that was hilarious, and it set Twitter on fire.
He's a damn weirdo. He's a weirdo now. It's crazy.
I think he got some magical powers at some point. He's in a wheelchair. I don't know. Like, I still have a lot of blanks to fill in there. But I'm like, why is this guy just staring just dead ass at people?
Yeah, he's a damn weirdo now. He's kind of weird, but you know, there's a lot of major events that happen in episode 1, and fans that were kind of disappointed, wait till episode 2, because trust me, 100% episode 2 is gonna go to about 150% in the action.
And the last point I want to make on this podcast, we might not record by this time next week. I'll be traveling a little bit. You know, see some people here real soon. What is your final prediction for Avengers Endgame?
Avengers Endgame is going to end with they're gonna do a take on the Illuminati with so in the comics they had the Illuminati where it was Black Bolt, Captain America, Iron Man, Professor X, that each they after they beat Thanos, they spread the Infinity Stones around. I think it's gonna be just like that. It's gonna be Iron Man, it's gonna be Thor, it's gonna be Captain America. So the 3 are going to survive. One of my big predictions is all 3 of them survive. Captain Marvel is the 4th, and they're going to introduce Professor X, and he's gonna get the 5th Infinity Stone, and they're gonna spread it all around just like the Illuminati did, and they're gonna be the Illuminati. They're gonna be the big guys behind the scenes, OG Avengers, and they're gonna start pushing to the newer guys, you know. And then I think that's how they're gonna introduce X-Men. We're gonna get a small little cameo when they're splitting up the gauntlet in the stones. And the 6 would maybe Doctor Strange, maybe Black Panther. I don't know. One of those guys is probably going to get another Infinity Stone too. So that's how they're going to spread out the Infinity Stone and try to get into the background.
I'm gonna go with Captain America dying at first. This is after they do the time travel shenanigans, because they will have to go back in time to find a way to kind of figure out what to do here going forward. There will be some kind of reunion or reestablishment with Red Skull, because he is supposedly still out and about in the universe somewhere. And then I think there's going to be that multiverse, you know, idea, line of thinking with this whole quantum realm mess. There's a lot that can happen. I fully expect a major character to die for real. Now, this resurrection nonsense, I think it will be Cap. It's going to be a tough 3 hours. It's going to be a great 3 hours.
We might do a podcast in the parking lot.
It's going to be me, you, and Cuts, man. We're there, and then we're going to go see it again the next morning, because I'm going to have thoughts. I'm going to have to go hash some things out. But there's going to be, like, you know, the Bat Signal podcast that we'll have to do afterwards.
I have tickets for the Thursday night showing, and I have tickets for the Tuesday showing. So in between Thursday and Tuesday, I may or may not see it a third time, but I do have 2 tickets to 2 different showings. So at least twice. The last Avengers I did watch like 10 times in like the first month that it came out. So not 10 times like I bought tickets, but you know.
I know I watched Infinity War at least 15, 20 times because I thought that movie was beautifully done. I mean, that's even before you get to the Battle of Wakanda. Thanos has his whole performance that last movie, man. It's the dialogue, the purpose, all of it, just an absolute home run. And I don't know what to expect out of this one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're probably doing I'm probably just gonna bring the whole setup and we'll do a pod from the car.
From the car in the parking lot of the movie theater, we have three men who need to just get it all out there.
Like, Jesus Christ, what just happened?
And then we'll go get steak and eggs. Might as well at this point.
Perfect. Well, no, there's a TGI Fridays there. I think TGI Fridays is the move.
I've been out of Vegas for too many months, man. I need some underwhelming but somehow satisfying steak and eggs at let's see it'll be around like 10:30, 11 by the time the credits wrap up.
We're going to be at the place. There's either two places to get steak and eggs in town. It's Orleans or South Point, in my opinion.
You never had the Tuscanies?
Yeah, I have once or twice, but not a big fan. It's Orleans or South Point is the OG to me. Like,
South Point is the OG, and then I remember they did this weird policy like you couldn't go in under 21 after midnight, which really cut down on the lines.
Yeah, but I mean, we were there like 3 a.m. sometimes. So, I mean,
to be in my early 20s again. Well, enough reminiscing. I want to thank everyone for tuning into this episode of the Bleacher Preachers podcast. We are the Good Brothers. We are on Twitter at Bleach Preach Pod. We're also on Instagram at Bleacher Preacher Podcast. You can find the show on most major streaming platforms, the Apple Podcast Network, SoundCloud, Google, Stitcher, all that fun stuff. Still working on our first sponsorship. Apparently DMs are broken. My feelings are a little hurt by that. You can follow myself on Twitter at Jonathan_R. Rob, plug what you need to plug.
Rob_BPP. That's about it. Just follow me on Twitter.
Good food takes, good calls on current events, and a good chuckle here and there. One of my favorite follows on Twitter. Thank you again, guys. We look forward to an amazing week of playoffs and a whole lot of movie drama to unfold. So thank you again, and we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Keep forgetting my mouse turns off.